And sure enough, ladies and gentlemen, just as I came out of Betlemska, which is where I was just a second ago, I go around the corner and I'm at restaurant Rilke, which was presumably about Maria Rilke. There's a tiny golem in it, just so that people know it's about Maria Rilke, although what the connection is beyond me. He actually wrote in German, of course, as the sound suggests, like Kafka. And I had to read a couple of his pieces as well for my German degree, but I can't really remember them much. Anyway, that's him, that's the guy. Don't be put off by the fact he was called Maria as well. Well, here he is in full. He was born in Prague in 1875, lived till 1926. Some people go a real bundle on Rilke. Some people find his use of language to be, absolutely splendid, whereas personally, not. I don't know, maybe I wasn't in the mood for it when I read it. That could be all it is. There's one of those cars doing its tour with somebody with spiky hair in the back. Anyway, this is interesting, isn't it? There's a cross slightly on its side here, in the way at which you would put a mezuzah if you were Jewish by your door, except for that's too high. The mezuzah would be about heart height. More of his memorabilia here. And this says, TripAdvisor says it's number 14th restaurant in Prague. And it is a temptation to go in there, actually. The menu is up here. And what's it got? It's got old Prague ham, mustard, horseradish and pickle. A pickle, not an pickle, a pickle. 165, which perhaps means you get one pickled gherkin with it. Yes, nakladana okurka is a pickle. So this one's got ghost cheese roasted on grilled vegetables, which is making my mouth water. Till gold coloured, decorated with walnut hearts, which sounds nice. Which is utepli shedkrmi. Maybe I should go in and try it. Polevki afterwards. You've got kremova polevka z leshnych hub, which is cream soup from forest mushrooms, which sounds good as well. Afterwards you've got the fish courses, certain specialities. Well, maybe I should try it. After all, I had to endure his literature at university. Maybe I should try his restaurant. I'm not sure if there's any real connection, whether he actually lived here or not. But nevertheless, the pricing of that isn't as high as the one that I showed you a minute ago, the Vzatishi. But then Vzatishi is aimed rather at the business community, and can get away with a slightly higher price. This one's homebred rabbit roasted on garlic. It sounds such a pity. It sounds like it was somebody's pet. Chrupawe kaczeniczka pieczone dla receptury naszych babiczek. This is half of crispy duck roasted in accordance with our grandmother's recipe. Wine, red cabbage with apple and gingerbread, served with potato cakes and a variety of dumplings. That does sound good, doesn't it? Maybe I shall give up my other one and come in here instead. How about that? It's the non-smoking area, but you have to go through quite a smoky bit to get here. If I were to take the attitude in Prague that I do in Poland, where now that it's illegal I boycott restaurants that have held out and made themselves, allowed themselves smoking exemptions. Here, if you did that, you wouldn't eat anywhere, so almost. So that's why I've just sort of put up with the fact that I had to walk them through the smoky area to get in here, and also another smoky area to get to the toilet. But still, other than that, this actual bit here is fairly free from smoke, so it's probably ventilated properly. Otherwise I'll have an awful headache afterwards, and my eyes will ache as well. It's got worse since we don't have to put up with it normally anymore in most civilized countries, but the Czech Republic is the last in line, unfortunately, in many ways to do lots of things, and one of them is to take an appropriate attitude to tobacco in public. They've done the usual Czech thing of using a lot of space in front of you so that you have to really reach across for things. That's very common in this country. So there's the goat's cheese to start off with on aubergine, grilled aubergine and peppers at the side, with a bit of salad and some interesting cranberry sauce around and the walnuts in the middle. That looks very appetising indeed. 160 crowns, I have to say. So those are different types of Czech dumplings down the side there. A huge half duck and the good old red cabbage underneath. I hope there's a lot of that. I can't really see because the ducks are still on it, but I do like a lot of that. So it's very nice anyway. So I've now finished eating there. It was pretty good, Czech standard. I discovered, we're on the Silver Line, I discovered that Rilke was not born in that particular house, and neither did he live in that particular house. It's just a Rilke-themed restaurant. He apparently was born on Jinjiska Street, which I didn't know that he was born there. That's somewhere that it's not far from the office. I often walk down it. That's where the there's one of the towers, characteristic towers are. That's not a very Christian cross on the top of that thing, actually. That's a little bit reminiscent of that Baphomet symbol. I don't like the look of it very much. I don't know what it's supposed to be, why people do that sort of odd thing. Let's find out what it's supposed to be anyway. No, it's supposed to be an old Catholic church. So the old style, Starokatolická. So probably they have Latin masses or something. Not sure. Anyway, if you go back to the time when Rilke was born, at the end of the last part of the 19th century, that's obviously the same sort of time as Kafka. How was it that a number of people very much concerned with German literature were associated with this city and have been adapted or adopted, I suppose, adopted by the Czechs in full, even though they themselves didn't really write in Czech, and neither did they possibly even know it very well. They might have known a bit of it. Well, the answer is that Prague was mainly German speaking up until the time when the Czech Republic, or the Czechoslovakia, managed to become independent. Obviously for hundreds of years you'd had the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And so that sort of puts you in a situation where you're part of a bigger whole, of which your natural language, or your national language, is, okay, it's your language, but it's not the language of the whole. So you have to compare it in a sense to obviously more extremely, in the case of Hawaii, you've got Hawaiian language, and they're part of the United States, so clearly if you go to Hawaii you'd be more likely to hear English going on the street than people just chatting away to each other in Hawaiian. So it's not quite that bad, of course, because there were more Czechs than Hawaiians, but still, that's the kind of idea. And so whilst Czechs were here, obviously, and whilst there was a movement to restore their nation and a movement for developing the language, Austria wasn't particularly interested in supporting that, treated people as dissidents, and people went to prison for that. And so here we are coming up onto Narodny. The place I'd initially planned to eat would be just down there, but I'm not going to obviously eat twice, so that's that. Especially as I certainly ate my fill in there, that's for sure.